ಅಗರಮುಮಾಗಿ ಯದಿಪನುಮಾಗಿ ಅಧಿಗಮುಮಾಗಿ ಅಗಮಾಗಿ ಅಯನನವಾಗಿ ಅರಿಯನವಾಗಿ ಅರನನವಾಗಿ அவர் மேலாய் இகரமுமாகி எவைகளுமாகி இனிமையுமாகி வருவோனே. These are the first few lines of a poem by Arunagirinadar, and this is from Tiruppugal, the magnum opus that focuses on Lord Muruga. And this particular poem focuses on the deity in Paramdir Cholai. And here Arunagirinadar says, Ayanenavagi, Ariyanavagi, Aranenavagi. You are seen as the Trinity comprising of Brahma, Hari and Hara. Avar melai ikaramumagi yavaigalumagi. Further, you transcend even them and take the form of anything and everything in this universe. But after saying all this, Arunagirinadar makes a beautiful statement to encapsulate Muruga. He says, Inimayumagi varuvone. All that I just said is true. But beyond all that, you are nothing but that ultimate sweetness that I relish. In the last episode, we explored how Kumara or Muruga is that childlike embodiment of forgiveness and affection. That is the sweetness that puts him beyond the Trinity and everything else in this universe, according to Arunagirinadar. And Mahan Shri Muthuswami Dikshitar conveys this deep message using a single word in the Anupallavi of Shree Subrahmanyaaya Namaste. The word he has chosen is Varenyaaya, which means that which is the greatest of all. The significance of this word becomes clear if we examine it in relation to the Gayatri Mantra. Just as a recap of last episode, I'd mentioned how the composer seems to be conveying a message about Subramanya, that he's the essence of the Vedas, and the essence of the Vedas is the Gayatri Mantram, so he's the essence of the Gayatri Mantram as well. As we saw, this was first alluded by choosing the name Subramanya in the Pallavi. Now in the Anupallavi, we get the second hint when he uses the word Varenya, which is directly lifted from the Gayatri Mantram, where we hear the words Tat Savitur Varenyam. And further, anyone who knows the Gayatri Mantram can see that the word Varenyam appears at the center of the mantra, in the second line at the very end. And mirroring that, Dikshitar has taken the middle section of the Kriti, which is the Anupallavi, and places the word Varenya in the centermost position to highlight the significance of it. Even musically, the melody here rests on the upper note Sa in the higher octave to show the importance of this word. And I'll sing the Anupallavi for you now, and do try to notice the position where the word Varenyaaya appears and how it is placed on the musical peak of Tarasthai Shadjamam. Bhoosura-aadhi Samastha Jana Poojitha-Abja Charanaaya Bhoosura-aadhi Samastha Jana Poojitha-Abja Charanaaya Vaasuki Thakshaka-aadi Sarpa Swaroopa Dharanaaya Vaasava-adhi Sakala Dheva Vandhithaaya Varenyaaya Vaasava-adhi Sakala Dheva Vandhithaaya Varenyaaya Dasa Jana Abishek Taragraganyaya Shree Subrahmanyaaya So, in the Anupallavi, the very first word is Bhoosura-aadhi Samastha Jana Poojitha. Bhoosura can be understood as those who bring the Devas or Suras to Bhuloka through their rituals and homas. So, this word denotes Brahmanas. But though Subramanya is specially worshipped by Brahmanas, Dikshitar says Bhoosura-aadhi Samastha Jana, which means starting from Brahmanas, he can be worshipped by all people regardless of caste, creed or gender. Even if you see the Swaroopa of Subramanya Swami, he has the Suramakal on one side and Kuramakal on the other, which means he has married Devendra's daughter, Devasena, as well as an earthly hunter's daughter, Valli, which shows that when there is Sadbhakti, there is no disparities or hierarchies for Subramanya. In the same line, Dikshitar says, Poojitha-Abja Charanaaya, he whose lotus feet are revered by all. This comparison to a lotus is very common in literature and music. Most superficially, it could mean that his pink feet appear like a tender lotus. But if we look slightly further, we see a slight irony. When we do puja, we offer many flowers at the feet of the Lord, be it roses, jasmines or lilies. But here the composer brings out an irony, saying that it almost feels like we're offering flowers to those feet which are themselves like ultimate lotus flowers. A third meaning, based on interpretation by Mahaperiyava, is that Subramanya's feet are like lotuses and his bhaktas are like bees who flock to that lotus. The only difference is that while normal lotuses have a limited amount of nectar, Subramanya's lotus feet have an unending stream of nectar called Karuna for the bee-like bhaktas to relish. And further, while regular lotuses have nectar only for their own purpose of pollination, those lotus feet of Subramanya expect nothing in return and solely exist to help the bhaktas prosper. And parallel to the first line, where he said all people worship him, Dikshitar goes on to say that he isn't just the deity of Bhuloka, but he is also highly revered in Devaloka. He says, Vaasava-adhi Sakala Dheva Vandhithaaya. And note that instead of just calling him Indra, he uses the word Vaasava, which means leader of the Ashtavasuls. And by saying so, he's placing emphasis on the followers of Devendra as opposed to just the position of Indra, to show that it is not just the leader, but all the followers as well who revere Subramanya. And to show us this, there is a story in the Kaumarika Kanda of the Skanda Mahapuranam, which says, when Surapadma and his brothers were terrorizing the world, Subramanya was born to restore peace and order. Indra and his followers, the Devas, were so overwhelmed to see their savior that they tell Subramanya, you be our Indra. Devendra himself asks Muruga to take up his position as the leader, as Indra, and to lead the Devas to victory. But Lord Subramanya refuses and says, Devendra, you can keep your position and power. I'm simply here to restore harmony in this world. And so Indra appoints him as the commander-in-chief of the Deva's army. This story shows us the greatness of Subramanya and how, despite such glory, he remains that pure embodiment of childlike simplicity. In the final line, Dikshitar says, Dasa Jana Abhishta Prada, which means the one who fulfills the wishes of his dasas. And this is itself true, but Dikshitar felt that this mere statement is insufficient to do justice to Subramanya. So to make his point, he goes on stacking adjectives to the statement, saying, Dasa Jana Abhishta Prada Daksha Dara Agraganyaya, which means he who fulfills his devotees' wishes adeptly, better than others, and is known to be the foremost at this. In simple terms, at fulfilling wishes, he is good, better, and best. Now I've looked into 3 out of 4 lines in the Anupallavi. I'd like to now come back to a line that had me stumped for quite a long time. Dikshitar says, Vaasuki Thakshaka-aadi Sarpa Swaroopa Dharanaaya, which means the one who dons the form of serpents like Vaasuki, Thakshaka and so on. For a long time, I kept wondering what the link between Subramanya and serpents could be. Upon doing some research, I found that this link has existed from the earliest records till modern day. If we look back at the Skanda Mahapuranam in the Kaumarika Kanda, sage Vishwamitra glorifies Muruga using 108 names, and one of those is Nagaraja, which means king of the Nagas. And even today, in most parts of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Subramanya is only worshipped in serpentine form and not in his humanized manifestation. But to understand why he takes this form, we need to understand his role as a guru. We won't go into much detail today because we'll further examine his role as a guru in detail next week in the Charanam. But we'll see a few instances of when he has become the guru. For example, he's been the guru to his own father, Parameshwara. In Swami Malai, we see him as Swaminatha Swami, as the guru to Dakshinamurti, who's the Adi Guru himself. Muruga has been the guru to Arunagirinathar, and most clearly he has been the guru to Muthuswami Dikshitar himself, because he says, Mat Guruvaro Mangalam Karotu Srinadadi Guruguho Jayati in his very first kriti. And this Nadopasaka has attained enlightenment by the grace of Subramanya in Tirthani, which is why his mudra itself is Guru Guha. So we see that the Muruga is the ultimate guru in our path to spiritual enlightenment. Now let's come to why he is associated with serpents. Word of caution, this is a slightly esoteric topic, so I'll try to explain slowly, but it might require some processing and contemplation as well. There is a certain practice of tantric yoga known as Kundalini yoga, where it is believed that within our body there exist 6 energy centers known as the chakras. The goddess Parashakti manifests as the fundamental energy of life and resides dormant in the lowermost chakra at the base of the spine. This chakra is called the Mooladhara chakra, and here the Shakti rests in the form of a coiled serpent. Through tantric sadhana, a yogi can awaken this Shakti and channel its ascent up the subtle body through the 6 chakras, and ultimately, as Shakti merges with Shiva at the topmost Sahasrara chakra, the state of enlightenment or Jivan Mukti is attained. I'll pause the tantric talk right there, but this explains why Devi is in serpentine form. But how does that extend to Lord Subramanya? First, there is perhaps no deity in the pantheon of Sanatana Dharma who is identified so synonymously with his weapon as Lord Subramanya is with the spear that he wields. In Tamil, we know him by many names like Vadivel, Vel Murugan, or simply Velavan to show that he is one and same as the spear. Dikshitar himself uses the words Shaktiyayudha Dhartre in the Charanam of this Kriti to show that he wields the weapon which is nothing but Parashakti Swaroopam itself. So we already see that Muruga and his veil are synonymous, and simultaneously the veil is also equated to Parashakti. So Muruga and Shakti are linked here. Second, as we already saw, Subramanya is the ultimate guru within us in the practice of Kundalini Yoga. And here it is believed that the 6th chakra, known as the Ajna chakra, situated between our eyebrows, is where he exists as Guru Guha. And when Shakti reaches here, the yogi is at the final stage of their spiritual journey, and just before the supreme enlightenment is attained, the Shakti is at this Ajna chakra. And interestingly, this chakra is also known as Guru chakra, to show that at this stage, we realize that the ultimate guru is not outside, but in fact within us, as Guru Guha. To further cement this idea, let's look at what happens to Shakti in the Ajna chakra. As she ascends through the 6 chakras, she takes the form of a different energy or Shakti in each of them. In the Lalita Sahasranama, her form in the Ajna chakra is described as follows. Ajna chakrabja nilaya shukla varna shadanana majja samsthaham savati mukhya shakti samanvita haridra naikarasika hakini rupadharini. It is said that in the Ajna chakra, she resides as the Shakti named Hakini, who is 6-faced or Shadanana. We already know that Subramanya is hailed as Shanmukha or the 6-faced Lord. Knowing that he is seated as the Guru within us in the Ajna chakra, and that serpentine Shakti takes the form of 6-faced Hakini here, we can put 2 and 2 together to understand why Subramanya is worshipped in the serpentine form. So we've just journeyed through seemingly simple wordings of this Anupallavi that holds so much more meaning than what meets the eye when we further read between the lines. So from the beginning, we have been viewing Subramanya as a guru. Next in the Charanam, Dikshitar tells us why exactly he is the ultimate guru, and of course builds more connections to the Gayatri Mantram along the way. So to explore all this, do join me again next Wednesday as we indulge further in this Geethaanubhava. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.